I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have no comment at this time. So, next is subdivision land development projects.
Sure. I just want to say, start by saying this is the first of our new meeting agenda, new monthly meeting process, and just thank you for everybody for being here. And the spirit of these meetings is to be more informational as during the day. And as it says on the agenda, informational only. We're going to hear the presentations from each of the subdivision land development projects. This is an opportunity for the board to ask questions. I really envision this to be a little more informal, a little more question and answer, a little more approachable, with the expectation that the plans will then be live on NBT's website for the next two weeks. Residents who are not able to join us today during the day will have the opportunity to review the recording of the Zoom meeting via the newly minted NBT YouTube channel. So hopefully within a day, this meeting will be posted and uploaded to YouTube. And those who cannot attend today have the option and ability to email their questions directly to Newville Township admin. Excuse me, it's difficult to probably say. Admin during that 2 weeks. The board will then entertain a motion to adopt a resolution on each of these subdivision land development projects at the business meeting in 2 weeks, and that will be an evening meeting and 2 weeks from tonight. That being said, I thank all of the applicants for taking time to come and be with us this morning. The first one will be Dolly Lane, it's the Benner property, and we are looking for the preliminary / final major 3-lot residential subdivision.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Would you please give your name and title for the minutes?
Sure. My name is Daniel Lyons. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, attorney with the Meyer Residential.
Mr. Holmes, with Holmes Engineering, civil engineer for the project. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here this morning. It's my understanding the board had seen this application maybe one foot by way of pressure. The applicant proposes a 3-lot residential subdivision of applicant property located on Dolly Lane in Newville Township. It's actually located right near the intersection of Dolly and Cornwall. Plan has been subject to local reviews, and the plan has been provided during the reviews. The zoning is required for the project. Plan was 10 years to the required building. Planning Commission has recommended approval, and we are ultimately we're happy to answer any questions or address any comments that we have, but I'd like to turn it over to Kristen to introduce the project a little bit more.
So the project is a 3-lot subdivision taking access off of Dolly Lane. Dolly Lane does stub and end currently. So it's going to be a shared driveway for the 3 lots that will extend from the end of that public road into the private portion of the lots for those 3 lots. There is a single stormwater management facility that will handle all of the runoff from those 3 lots, and those would all be essentially a shared maintenance between the 3 owners on there. We have received multiple review letters and have gone back and forth with 3 submissions. We received the latest, the August 10th, 2021 letter from Gilmore, which everything in there is a will comply, with the exception of waivers that are being requested under the letter that we had dated June 22nd. And the only other thing I would note is that we are agreeing to and pursuing public water for this, which was one of the conditions of the planning commission. We're working with the township to get a letter that we need for that, and we're moving forward with Aqua PA water connection.
What is your proposal for sewage? Is it going to be public also?
It is public,
Okay.
yes. There's actually sewer mains that run through the property in easement, so it's a single connection.
My question is, Craig, you know, the problems with plans and read everything.
Yeah, it's been engineered, designed, based on the recommendation. I'm pushing it through zero back in June. And so I think that's that. It's been kind of dragging out based on, for a small project, it's got a lot of issues. Trying to address some of the other concerns, addressing full marks. We're seeing, basically, the first time we kind of
Is there going to be an HOA that will maintain the private driveway?
I think that's going to be coordinated, whether it is an HOA or a shared maintenance agreement between the three parties on there, that will be worked out with the company solicitor to recommend the company.
And have you proposed a name for this or address? Is it going to be a street or are we just calling it a driveway?
It's just a shared driveway, so it won't have a street name associated with it. I imagine the address would be Dolly Lane.
There's not gonna be any public section.
No.
How are they gonna get the mail, like in the individual mailboxes? How's that gonna be handled?
We'll coordinate with the post office on that to see what they would require for that, whether it would be individual mailboxes. It most likely, I imagine, would be on Dolly Lane as like 3 mailboxes at the end of that public portion, but we will coordinate with the post office for that.
And who's going to maintain the stormwater base?
So as part of the shared maintenance agreement that will be adopted, whether it's the HOA or the maintenance agreement, it would be a shared agreement for the stormwater, the shared driveway, all of the facilities.
Who's that all contract?
Responsibility, since there's no shared trails, shared anything, so what do we have on?
Was there something mentioned about there's a trail on the other,
So on the, what I'll call the rear of the property, the bottom side of the lot, we do
Yes.
have a proposed trail easement in there for sake of if the township were interested in doing something for an overall trail in the future. We have provided that. I believe that was noted as an item for discussion with the board. Is that something that the township is interested in or whether it may not be?
and that backs up into what roads there, a little far from UC.
So it goes all wooded. Behind it is the stormwater basin for the adjacent residential. It is on private property, 12 sides with single family homes.
Okay. So where would a trail, it looks like it's pretty much developed.
It's part of the Highland Trail, it's part of a multi-municipal road trail. And I think that the master map shows it along the backside of the trust.
Does it have any other easements, or is this the first easement given?
Or do you mean for the trail?
Trail.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've heard of this trail, I suspect there's other portions that have been given. It goes through, through the northern part of the town. But I suspect, the trail.
Not coming from the island, it's on the island. It comes out of the island.
Well, it's unclear to me whether there's something called the Highland Trail, which is a multi-county trail. I don't know if it's, I've seen it.
No, that's.
Okay.
It's totally different from the island.
I don't see anything being built anytime soon. in this area.
Well, the thing is, with this property, the only thing you can do is walk Dolly Cornwall.
Yeah.
And we don't have sidewalks in Brittany Farm, so you're gonna walk in the street.
They've agreed.
They could walk through Cornwall out to 152 if there's any kind of a trail over there eventually, but there's no place to put it. There's no reason to put a trail on this property because they are surrounded by private property.
There was a note from the planning commission, the county planning commission, something about, instead of access onto Dolly, they wanted you to run it through to Woodside or Clearview?
And based on the layout here and the surrounding properties, we don't have access or ability for either any of those property owners to make that connection through to either Woodside or Valley is the left on the plan.
Okay, so they said something about getting permission from the owner of
Those
this tract.
owners were in here concerned about this, so I don't know.
Well, this the Benners owner, and I don't know where that idea came from. Is that just from the county?
It was just in the town, yeah, it's certainly not.
I'm just wondering where that idea came from, because I hadn't heard
They're
it
at the 10,000
before.
foot level looking at big stuff. They don't understand. I mean, they have access to it.
Right.
And then whatever, they said, no, we don't know. They want to go that way.
Okay. I just wondered where that came from, because of the question I heard. So did mention.
Anybody else? You have any public here that wanted to say anything? Okay, so, this is something we will vote on at our next meeting.
That's right. It's now in a position where the board can entertain a resolution to adopt the preliminary and final major three-lot residential subdivision at the business meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I will be preparing a draft resolution.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, now we've got 9 Sellersville Road, retention property. This is for the preliminary and final minor residential subdivision. Good morning.
Good morning. John and I are here for the applicant for Hamburg and Fallen Tax. We're excited to be here tonight. This is really a culmination of a family dream for a long time. Mr. Teshi and his son always had a dream of living next door to each other. They love this community. So they've owned the subject property for some time. So it's a dilapidated structure that's been torn down. It's a 2-lot subdivision. We already received all the fee letters. Majority of those items are will comply. We are asking for some waivers. I want Rachel run through the plan, and they'll be happy to address any questions that they have. Rachel?
Hi, my name is Rachel Blitz with Stovall Associates, and then five engineer for this property. The property is a 2-lot subdivision, and there is an existing house over there that's already been demolished. It's a 2-unit residence proposed. The topography slopes from the rear of the property towards Sellersville Road. The 2 driveways will take access to Sellersville Road, and there's a steep strip proposed in front of each lot. There's a significant amount of mature trees in the rear of the property, and those are being preserved. So the clearing is isolated to aspect that property forward. The water and sewer, there was a house, there was a lateral there for both waters are already, so one of the houses will be use of extension of the we received reviews from Fillmore, we have a review from the South Sewer Authority, Planning Commission, County Commission. There are everything in the letter we can apply with the exception of the waivers. I can run through the waivers or any questions at
I
this
don't
point.
think we're not even into a letter as much as we need feedback from them.
Okay.
I'm not prepared to go through it. They approved, plan to approve this one. To be honest with you, is there 5 waivers? I like to order this. Five variances.
Yes, we received zoning.
I think that's it. Back in December 26, 2018. Five variances. So pretty much in. Well, can't do anything.
That's right.
It's kind of what you see is what you get. That's what the zoning. And it's a pretty short review. You want feedback from the board?
There's a couple of things. One we did in terms of going through the trees along the property line with the adjacent property owner was a condition on the zoning review that we would buffer from the property line. There's existing foliage there now, so we feel that 6 trees is adequate. During the zoning approval, there was a turnaround that was going to be proposed that when you turn around, the lights would be shining in on the neighbor's property. That's no longer the case. That being said, we are still proposing to put 6 trees along that property line in addition to the existing foliage. We feel that's adequate and want to bring that to your attention. And the other item was, we are asking for a waiver of sidewalk and curb. What I was wondering was, would the township be willing to do a deferral where we wouldn't have to pay the fee in lieu of, but the applicant would put in the sidewalk within 1 year of notice by the township? Under the law, you can do that at any time, as Mr. Nelson will tell you, and we just feel like it makes more sense. Sidewalk and curb probably would never go in on the site, so we pay a fee in lieu of. It's just, we feel like for a minor subdivision, it's a little onerous. That being said, we feel that having the provision in the resolution of a deferral, the township's really not giving up anything. What it's doing for my client is, quite frankly, economically. You know, this is a family dream to live next door to each other. That being said, it has gotten more costly. We respectfully request that the board entertain that deferral versus a waiver.
Yeah,
You know,
so that's fun.
Do you read resolution 2021 to approve the waiver? Your scenario, they would, if we notify them a year from now, the fee schedule is 50% of that. Actually, saving them 50% of that.
I did answer your question, I did, and two, that's difficult throughout the municipalities that just probably asked a question about the deferral of the township.
And that's why they created that resolution. And, if you have any questions, if you do have more offering or something that's kind of above and beyond what it is, then that actually that happens. And actually enhances the project.
I guess a question of clarification, if down the road my client wishes to put in the sidewalk and he's already paid the fee in lieu, is there a reimbursement for that? How does that work?
No, you're doing solid now if you want to do it. But I don't think I agree with how they do it. They go to townships. You know, it gets sold. They don't know.
That's been my concern.
Yeah, if we had a big project on the do, that would slow it down.
Hey, the process is the process. I thought we would just ask to be, and I'm going to make clarification on what we did later. So I understand that, we're very excited about the project. Happy to answer any other questions.
But then the other 2 waivers are asking for the sidewalks.
So there's 5 waivers.
The trees, how many trees are you required to put in?
Well, I.
The zoning here were just specified a number of trees, just to provide an access buffer to bring the driveway from the property. There's a street tree requirement. There are some, when there are 2 or 3 existing trees that will remain, and then there are 4 or 5 additional street trees that will be supplemented. So that's one of the things that was in the review letter, was to use street trees that can't fit on the frontage because of the driveway and utilities. Plan that also. So there's a total of, I would say, 8 or 9 new trees.
So 6.
And then it's 3 street trees that are out there.
And that's why we were saying this makes sense if they're on that property line to add that buffer is already there.
We sometimes leave that up to the engineer during the review and the building as to what's adequate and what's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, zoning hearing board left it up to you. You're gonna leave it up to me.
Well, I have no pictures. I don't know what's there. I don't know what's
No,
being
it's-
proposed,
It
really.
depends on the final grading and impact to, you know, the property. So, I think you want to see where we were at, like, the third estimate. Hearing board policies there, we come into this board. We have that in our review. planning commission recommend waiver, they support all the waivers, so. That's it, really. I don't think they can move the house or the.
Yeah.
You're looking.
You
at
really-
a lot of problems.
Yeah, you've really shoehorned them in there. Yeah, it's a odd shaped property, so.
I don't have.
Has lot one reached its maximum impervious surface for that lot, the way it's set up? So does the owner know that they are not able to add anything else, just because it's like building envelopes? So,
So as proposed, I believe 20% maximum is permitted on these two lots. So the stormwater facility will be designed up to that 20%. I believe that's shown in 18 or 19. Those are only 2% that they will be able to put up. So there'll be notes on the plan, and then that start at the bottom there is the impervious about that. And again, that's exactly what we'll see on each lot and summarize what it is per lot and total. So the site stormwater will be designed, assuming that it's filled out to 20%. As shown before the 18 or 19.
All right, great, very good. Thank you for your time. It's now the position for the board to take action in 2 weeks. And
I'll get you a draft.
Township Solicitor will be in contact. Thank you so much. Next one, 11 subdivision, preliminary final 7-lot residential subdivision.
My name is Todd Sanders. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. You understand that. It's the evening, because it's unusual with the lights around or the event. So I appreciate your respect for business model. Rachel's already warmed up. She's project end of the year on the Mr. Lowett. The only exposure the planning commission previously had to this particular 7-lot was back in July, we came to the commission for a courtesy that we would solicit some feedback regarding some of the waivers. But since that, before that time, just backing up, Mr. Lowett's been attempting to engineer the development of this 20-acre property at the corner of the Township line and Walters Road since 2016. About 2 years ago, a 4-lot plan that proposed access via shared driveway off of Walters and access to together the main lots of the Township line. Came before the supervisors, proposed 1-lot water and 1-lot sewage. The planning commission had recommended unanimously approval. A resolution has been drafted consistent with that recommendation. And the board at that time, over 2 years ago, as it was then constituted, I don't know how it's not project table any action in the application because of too many waivers requested. In particular, the 1-lot water and sewer was a concern. Since that time, Mr. Lowen has been working diligently with Joe Walker Associates and Rachel to secure intermunicipal agreements between the Shell Bond, the Township, and Sewer and the Hilltown Township. Really probably appreciates his properties directly across the street. And Mr. Lowen has secured and Rachel has processed planning modules with those municipalities and we bid to allow for public sewer via the Hilltown sewer. And he proposes 1-lot wells for each of the 7 lots. And obviously 7 lots is more than 4 lots, and that's derivative of the fact that it is additional capacity, density, will result from visibility by the public sewer. So the plan that's before the board this morning for the review of this work session, and it will be before the board for a couple of weeks for adoption, hopefully a proposed resolution. It involves a 7-lot subdivision of approximately 20-acre parcel of land at the corner of Township line and Walters Road. Based on some feedback Mr. Rowland previously received, there was no access to the proposed subdivision via walkthrough record. There are 2 lots, 2 of the 7 lots are proposed to be accessed directly to the township line road, and the remaining 5 lots will be accessed via a cul-de-sac. We will design, of course, township specifications, but based on the feedback we received from the engineer, we don't believe there's any appetite for septic implementation of that cul-de-sac. There will be a homeowners association for purposes of maintaining the cul-de-sac road. And there will also be the homeowners association because the stormwater will straddle 2 of those lots. So that's not related dedication. I think I said each lot is approximately 2 acres in size. We appeared before the planning commission on August 24th. There was a lot of discussion. I'm sure you're able, the officer and capture manager have summarized the recommendations of the planning commission. There was discussion about the balancing the rural, preserving the rural characteristic of the subdivision by not installing sidewalks, not only on the front of the road, but interior to along the cul-de-sac road, and not installing curbing. Mr. Owen was prepared to comply with all of the recommendations of the township's engineer as set forth in the letter, 2021 review letter, with the exception of the waiver request. I'll pretty sure that's a good point for the consultants that have questions.
Other than this is the planning commission. Planning commission supported the 4 lot rule share drive. So we saw this. See a good discussion, healthy discussion, we went all around it, yes, both sides, and they want to go with the rural concept. Or salt track, it's another final design, but they recommend leaving road improvements and then new road, leaving the sidewalk, creating more swales. From stormwater standpoint, the bridge on the is comfortable with that design. They didn't really need lighting either, or lighting street lights except for safety concerns, intersections that are cheap and but they want to keep it more of a world, so not on the road. Yeah, but the driveway went goes up to the track, street, that was their recommendation. You guys should have a memo, and they go before all of that. This is one of the first ones that we do, but they need to know which way. How you going to that's that. I don't want her to get out one path, and you guys say no. I don't want to. I don't.
Are you telling me the planning commission did not follow your recommendations?
Yeah, it did. But I'm only following. I actually think. I think I supported this. Personally, I would try to do this more. If this was in a different area, I would say no. We were supposed to down the center. Like someone else came in and they were on the road, 6 lots, no sidewalk, all that lighting near commercial here. I think it's actually marketed, and I think we should try to pick out some lots where they would go to that township. Street lights needed, or certain sidewalk needed. We work for stormwater, we got swales, infiltration, things like that. So made a condition that they want everything.
I have no opposition in that type of development where you're in a rural setting and waiving sidewalk requirements. There's no point in putting up a sidewalk that leads to nowhere. As long as the width of the driveway is sufficient for people to walk along or car.
It's actually, I mean, this is on the street, so on the side of the,
And as to the lighting, I think it's important, the lighting at the entrance on Township line. But again, keeping with the neighborhood, keeping it as little lighting as is needed. I have no problem.
What is the development that's just south of it, which has got 11 homes on cul-de-sac, right on Township Line Road? That looks like it's got cul-de-sac with sidewalks on both sides. I can't tell what it's got.
That was in South, something South.
I'm thinking of yourself, which is different. Yeah.
No,
Didn't get a T on the end.
oh, that's the Toll Brothers.
This is which is on the other side of the Plain Street.
That's a portion of the Toll Brothers. Township line.
Barclay Road.
oh, okay. So that was approved in 7 I was gonna say 15.
Right.
Well, no, it's a long time ago.
Land preservation.
You go
That
out,
was, yeah, that
you
was.
go out Barclay Road, and you look at these 3 houses, 4 houses sitting there, all they have is their driveway, they have hardly no place for them to park. I mean, this would be different, but I don't think you can compare those two neighborhoods.
These are large, those aren't large lots. Those are like,
Yeah, very first.
very.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're very different. I mean, if this is a full street, and one of them has a driveway, you can park in on the street. My only concern would be to make sure that your stormwater management will take care of the fact that you don't have curbs and sidewalks. I mean, we look at County Line Park. They don't have curbs and sidewalks, and they have carbon flooding. So you really have to go out there and watch how does the water flow. We've got a lot of wetlands, and a lot of water out there. Make sure you know where the water flows, how it flows, and develop your property accordingly.
So we would design roadside 12 right behind where the curve is. The place the curve is 12, walk road into the playoff insurance. Right before the that's what I was pushing side. And then from the roadside 12 would then be piped back to the basin, and that's layout and location. Okay.
Anything else? Anybody?
Anybody go out to the site after we had a non
Yeah.
just to see how it's going, the area was?
Are you gonna put basements in these houses? Yeah. Okay, so you gotta be careful with the water leak. Right,
I think a lot of people got water in their basements all over
they did.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, but never got it before. It was kind of a water storm.
And we've had one of those 100-year storms every year for the last 10 years, so I don't think it's a 100-year storm. We really need to add, I think Fred already adds 10% or so.
Well,
I think it needs to be 20%.
it wasn't even close to all years. We
Yeah.
had a flash flood, but,
I don't know where you were, I got 9 inches up there earlier in like 6
Yeah,
hours.
certain areas that have those hotspots, but
Yes.
they're all in the region. I don't know if they have-
Well, Bill got 9 inches too.
It's an outer.
I got a water table. I got a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the water table
It's
is.
the ground section. So that's good.
So,
Do they need anything else?
favor of the direction, the planning commission going, and what we'll do is, I think that we're prepared to go in that direction. Sort of work, so we-
I think the rule of setting up that section township is wider and goes in.
Thank you.
So you believe this will be in a position to be entertained by the board?
Yeah, because really, we're just adding some waivers, we can be looking at additional waivers.
Very good.
Thank
See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Well, they know. It's a huge development. Yeah, I have whatever the sort of.
You guys coming next, you probably.
It's a lot cheaper. Is it cheaper, Joe, to put in wells instead of Joe? No, is it cheaper to put in wells than on the board?
Depends how far you want to put it. It's only 7 homes.
Right,
I think the cost.
that's what I think. It always comes down to the buck. Sorry, would you introduce yourselves to the man, please?
John Schmidt, Executive Director of Shop on the Township. from the Sewer Department.
I'm Joe Nolan, CKS engineer. We're here today to follow up to our last visit at Board of Supervisors meetings regarding a relocation project for pumping station number 4. I believe the township is familiar with the project. We worked with the solicitor obtaining easements across Veterans Park, work with the county. We have those easements acquired. We're relocating the pump station to a point along Newville Road. At the last meeting, as part of this, we requested a waiver of land development by a letter that John wrote to the township dated June 30. Subsequent to that, we did appear before the Board of Supervisors, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago. And at that time, you said to provide your engineer Craig with plans and let him look at it and we can go from there. That did happen, and Gilmore provided a letter August 9th, basically outlining things that would have to be waived or what would generally required by the township code. At that point, it was suggested that we come back and discuss it further. We have the pump station design. We also have the off-site sanitary sewer enforcement and design. And what we will be doing is eliminating the pump station that was constructed in the 70s. It's antiquated. It's actually located behind existing homes, and we have no access to it, and it is actually in a flood-prone area. Plus, we also wanted to revise the 537 plan, which the board did approve that resolution, which will allow us to go to DEP and get the 537 plan revised. So what this relocation will do would be to construct a new pumping station, but we will also eliminate the need to construct a second pumping station. So we're moving this to a more conducive area. As I said, we have to approve the 537 plan. So at this point, we're at the nuts and bolts level. How do we move forward? So we're here to answer any questions.
There was a question before about flooding. We did go out to the site, and that higher park area was pretty flooded. If you are familiar with the benches along Newville Road, the water was halfway up the bench. We did take elevation shots as a result of the flood, and where we're going to locate the pump station was not completely flooded, but as a result of that, we're going to raise the elevation of the site a little further higher, just to be safe, so we won't have the flooding in that area. We would take a driveway off Newville Road. We did meet with PennDOT out there, they're familiar with what we're doing, and they already issued the driveway permit for construction of the driveway. That being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Craig, if you want to jump in here and give you a few sentences of what we're doing, I'm happy to hear you.
I don't have any issues. We've already approved the planning part of it, this is just formality. Everybody knows, I think everybody knows that, there's no map. I don't have any. More formality. Or you want to issue the water letter?
No, I think we need to talk about a few things.
Okay, you mean, we can talk offline.
Yeah, we can talk. Yeah, that's not, okay.
So there's no issue.
Good here.
At least I don't think there are. I don't think
I'll work with Craig.
they'll contradict me.
Any questions?
No, the only thing is that was NWRA land that the county had, and that's how we met with the county and managed to rent it from the county to have. So you are right in raising this thing because you could actually.
We were actually, we were high enough with our original proposal that it was right there.
Yeah.
But we just being
Why take it?
safer.
We knew we were designing it where the elevation of the spillway was towards dams. So we got at least above that.
Right.
So,
Right.
if we're filled up, which we were still there for a week to pay. Shots, be sure we were above that.
Right.
We were like conditions.
I can't remember. John said he was out there, it looked like the seaway was closed.
It was full, but you, from the road, you really can't see the spillway.
Yeah.
And ran in the way, I would have to drive back there and do that, so.
And I'm
But,
concerned if it is, then the general, then that means the elevation will be higher.
It would have to work.
Like if we did.
Yeah, they account that Mike was that spillway.
But I didn't.
Well, as I said, we, one of the times, people went out for video, that video the day after, and the benches were halfway up to the seat. That higher area. We took shots, and that was, you're right, it was a 9 or 10 inch rain, so we make it one next year, so we'll make sure that we raise it up so we don't have to play.
Anything else?
Doing screening around it, so I think that's visible. Yes, we will work with the township. It was already 4 feet below the road elevation, so we're bringing it up. And part of Gilmore's letter was to provide buffering. We're willing to do whatever the township wants us to do, but I think, and we will agree to this, we'll build it and then we'll meet with you out there and we'll have a landscape come out rather than a contractor plan. And maybe we can decide what we want to do to buffer the site. The only thing that is mentioned that was probably going to ask consideration for is calls for a shadow box fence, and that really doesn't work. And most of our other pump stations have chain link slats in it, and then we buffer on the outside. So So we prefer to do that with less maintenance.
And that came, that's from, staff, because it's not the park. So,
Yeah, but
I don't have a
the
problem with
chain
this
link fence with
visually,
the green slats in it, it's green.
So, and plus we'll
And
bump,
then all the trees, I don't know.
we'll work it out.
Anybody else have a problem with that?
I'd like to see the design because it is next to
Well,
the
what I-
park.
so what I was thinking of is maybe you guys meet out there, do a picture of it, and share that.
Okay.
I don't want to make a decision out there and then figure that. I'll still hear about it, and I'll put nothing.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have them just have input. And you don't have to be here.
No problem.
We can just coordinate administratively, just say, hey, here's the plan to do. That way everybody knows who we're planning. You know how it is, you'll plan it, and then here.
Yeah. That's no problem.
Sitting on the Veterans Committee, we've already had discussions about flooding and other issues that, I don't want to do anything else that's going to irritate, upset, or inflame the veterans who are very proud of that park, who don't, it needs to be, it is a park, so it should look as nice as we can make it. I understand the pumping station needs to be there and it's an improvement. We'll take that, leave that up to Greg, and we'd like to see what's proposed and what's going
It's not a problem. Maybe
We'll
we'll,
do.
yeah, we'll do what we can, and maybe on that side, we'll do a separate, different type of tree. Or, no problem.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take all action.
So,
2 weeks.
yeah, so is this, yeah, you confident that the board will be in a position to grant the waiver?
Yeah, we're done, actually, they don't even. be there.
Okay, okay.
That's why I was going.
Very good.
Yeah.
Look out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, so I just wanted to bring the board's attention, a zoning hearing board application that we heard this Thursday at the zoning hearing board. There was a permit application, a zoning permit application that was submitted to Newville Township on June 11th. There was a review by Gilmore and Associates dated August 3rd, and there is a letter August 6th from the Township zoning officer to deny this permit application. The information was included in the board information. And at this point, this staff is in a position that we would recommend that the board take no action and let the zoning hearing board do its thing on Thursday. I didn't know if you had any questions or any further insight on this. I'd be happy to fumble through it with you.
Anybody have any questions?
I did read this, I can't recall it offhand. Why was it denied?
So it was because the zoning letter is located, the property is located in our zoning district. Weeds here a little bit. There's a B2 cluster subdivision use that is a use permitted by right. However, upon that review, the original subdivision plan, it was determined that it was not a part of that B2 cluster, and it did not meet that requirement, and therefore his proposed residential use is considered B1, single use, detached dwelling use, and must comply with B1. So there's a conflict. So it is an undersized lot. They're asking to do too much on it, and so they are requesting a dimensional variance and to appeal the zoning officer's denial letter.
The lot.
Yes.
They made the argument that. Under the B2U, it would have been lot size.
Okay. Does anybody have any opposition to just letting the zoning hearing board handle it?
this would be a touch point for the board to consider sending the township solicitor
Right.
or writing a letter, responding to nothing.
I think we could write a letter or position.
Yeah.
That's one where you just.
Let the zoning commission
Yeah.
take care of it.
We get a couple of them, yeah, so.
To be honest with you, the prior project where you had two lots that were stringed in, you got one hearing, they're the ones I got upset about. I can't, we can't even get Salvo requiring separation of zoning to match the zoning relief they gave it. Those are the ones that are like, which I think we're attaching in this format or we just send it back.
Yep.
No, we don't do anything.
Just for your information. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, so now we're on to number 6. We call this the presentation item. This is the board is aware of this issue pertaining to 555 New Galena Road. Brian Chacon is here to present to you a conservation easement conundrum where we have some.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make sure everybody has.
The board is in a position, understands the background behind it, we discussed it the session meeting about the details of this, and he is here to present his plan.
Morning, thanks for having us. So yeah, I wanted to give you a bit of background about what was done on the property, which obviously is all for the plan. So there were modifications done to the property 555 New Galena. We were in lot 1. We did remove 22 trees on the property. Most of those trees that were on the property were dead ash, or decaying ash. We do have an ash borer problem that is common in this township. That has been confirmed. And the main reason for the removal was to prevent any type of additional damage to the dwelling, our home, or risk to our family. We did also clear some of that area, about 5,000 square feet, and graded, overseed it, which was communicated to the township after the fact. Before anything was removed, we did have arborist out to address, to assess the trees and the condition, the type of trees. I don't believe you have this in your copy of the deck, but there is a report that we did receive from the arborist. Again, the goal of doing this was not to in any way interfere with the supported easement, but was more or less to take care of issues and risks that were presented with the business. So today we'd like to kick off the process of getting approval for the plan that we presented. Next slide is just a timeline of what has occurred. So we are new to the Newville Township. I grew up in Upper Horsham. We recently lived in Warrington, which is up here in June. We did start with an arborist inspection. We wanted to make sure we weren't looking to remove viable trees. On July 1st, we removed 22 trees, and it was a process of then getting the stumps ground. We did reach out to Kelsey and Michael as well at the township after this work was done and realized that we had missed steps in the communication process. We are looking to remediate and take care of this the right way. I want to do this with you. Next page, you can see that we took some pictures before we removed any trees. These again, the majority were ash, dead saplings, fallen limbs, which were actually counted in the 22. So anything that's fallen was counted towards the 22 that was removed. That's how the weight was quoted and estimated. The next page is our plan to remediate. So again, when we talked to the arborist, the idea was there were 22 trees that were removed in total in the ground, not stumps that were ground, the total trees removed. We are looking to replace those trees with 7 living trees and are willing to plant 10 arborvitaes in the conservation easement that was disturbed. Our plan is to plant those along the edge of the conservation easement on the left and right side of the property. In order to create a privacy fence. We also wanted to make sure that these trees, although what was removed were deciduous trees, we believe that we need privacy, and so evergreen trees not only would be viable in the soil, but also would give us privacy with our neighbors. We are willing to then install natural wood chips and mulch beds if necessary in that area. And then the other thing that we're looking at
for approval from the board is to install a fence within the conservation easement that would sit outside this tree line in order to prepare for future installation of the pool, but mainly to prevent any risks to our dogs or our children as we're right on the. On the last page, you can see just a mock-up drawing of the area, what's being proposed, including the tree line and the fence as well. Any questions?
So after you removed, and this was all done on the conservation easement,
That is correct.
which you were aware of when you bought the property.
That is correct.
So after you took down the dead trees, why did you take 7 living trees down?
There were seven living trees in the easement that were removed in the area that was cleared. And we did that because of the area, again, the area that we were looking to clear had multiple fallen trees that had damaged these other trees. These were not, when we worked with the arborist, these were not viable trees. There were 1 or 2 maple, there was 1 or 2 oak, but these were not trees that were going to live in that area or thrive, especially as there was area that was disturbed from construction of this property. This was new construction.
After you took the trees down, you then cleared the brush from the area?
We did clear the brush. There was poison ivy. My girls have got poison ivy, and we did clear the brush in that area. Yes.
Do you understand what a conservation easement is?
I do. I have read very thoroughly through the easement at this point, and I understand that we have made mistakes in how we have removed and cleared this area. I'm not in any way excusing that. I understand that mistakes were made. We are here to seek remediation and agreement from the board to do so in a way that's suitable.
And you are aware that putting the fence on the easement is not permitted at all either?
Yes, I read through the easement. It says the fence is not permitted without prior written approval from the board. We have not put a fence in that easement as of now. I just want to be clear that is a future project. We are seeking approval to do that. That is not a project that has been done, but reading through the easement, it does say that it can be granted with prior approval. So that is what I'm seeking.
That's the easier one. We haven't do that fast. I'm aware of. At the edge of the, yeah, you're asking to go to the back of the pool area, the pool area.
With a setback from the
Yeah,
edge of it.
we start doing that. So we haven't done that before. That's there to make any changes, but not just. We have a lot of issues with that, but we haven't proved that at least in this situation. I think that's the real one. The arborist, the written report.
Yes, I know.
Submit that to the township.
I did, yes.
I've never seen it.
I have an email from Brian. I don't have an order.
Or the arborist report, you know, it's not about the number of trees. It'd be a 25-inch power. 25-inch maple, and then a 3-inch maple, 3-inch. You say trees, then we sound okay in the discussion, but any power issues. The ordinance is all based on size. This size tree versus this size tree. So you don't put this 1 for 1, you take the power inch. So I'm not sure you looked at it that way yet.
I definitely know. When I reached out to the township, I was asked to replace 22 trees with 22 deciduous trees. I was not asked, and I was given a list of trees with acceptable heights. The first time I submitted my plan with arborvitae, it was a tree that was acceptable on the list, and I met the height requirements. But I was told I needed to replace 22. Well, it was count. So I agree. I totally understand your point, Craig, but that was not how it was presented.
So they approved that,
I was told 22 deciduous trees.
but the answer to another good question.
I do not know the call.
Any arborists that was that.
Yes, and it was something that could be provided, but it was something that's not provided.
Just recognize, this is not a buffer easement, this is not a buffer yard. This was a conservation easement that was placed on the property, because this area of woodlands, under our zoning ordinance, was not allowed to be disturbed. So not only in, the township has not gotten in with this, with the residents that this is also a zoning violation. They disturb woodlands that exceeds our woodland disturbance ratio for this particular site. But I would share Greg's concern that if we allow this area to be fenced in, it's going to be converted into our area. If not by this resident, by a future resident who doesn't understand. So I would recommend not to request. I also don't think our lighting are appropriate replacement here. We should replace them with some type of projects. And we're not looking for buffer. Resident is, and if the resident, I'm sorry, I should call you back.
Brian, just one.
Yeah, so he still wants to plant arborvitae if he wishes for screening purposes, but that's not going to address the problem for us, which is the removal of trees from this purposes. So I agree with Craig. It should be a caliber replacement. It should be hardwood trees, not arborvitae, not pine trees. Want to add those in addition. He's certainly committed to do that. That's not prevented by zoning or by the easement. But in order to address this problem,
I'm not in favor of this proposal. The way I see it, you decided to take conservation easement, which you were aware of, and try and turn this into more yard for your home. Dead trees are important for the environment, for the wildlife. They are not an unsightly matter if you felt that they were unsafe. Ordinances are online. I do believe you're supposed to contact the township to do that. Arborvitae are not replacement trees. You put down deciduous trees, they need to be replaced. And I would like to see the arborist report. And to put a fence up on the conservation area, absolutely not. Big brand.
The only fence there is the actual property that's developed, the lot itself, not really having any other.
And the arborvitae, I think, should be in the backyard, not the conservation area.
There were no other trees along the sides of the property that needed to be taken down?
There are, actually, after the last storm, there's now another branch that has fallen that's nearly on our driveway from another dead ash. So it's one of those things where it's a perpetual, like, keeping up. We have most of the trees on our property are ash. And there are more in the conservation and easement that need to be removed. It became a cost thing. This is a very expensive, process in and of itself. There's more area. We're in an acre and a quarter. We cleared 5,000 square feet more. Still are under 3/4 acre of cleared space. So I just want to be clear, we could have gone and we didn't choose to because the purpose here was safety. It was safety. It was to prevent any damage to our property, risk to our children. The area further behind, again, you can see more ash borer infestation. We're not clearing that area. We've not planned to, especially because that was outside of the range of our dwelling and the place that we built.
I looked at the plan that you told me. I would have been more concerned about the trees that are on either side of the house than the trees that were 50 or 80 feet back in there. And the ones that are right next to the driveway, those are the ones that
And those are the ones that we have to take care of now.
Okay.
The only reason I have to tell you, the issue is those are right on most of the trees are right on the property line to Barber. So that is where we have to seek approval from our neighbors to come onto the property to do that. But there are trees on either side of the property that are very close to the dwelling that also lack liability. That will be another set of requests and conversations that we will have with township zoning.
Just make a comment about the arborvitaes. If you're looking for screening, I would not use arborvitaes. The deer love them.
Yeah.
And you'll end up with sticks, with a little Christmas tree on top.
Yeah.
You're not going to get screening from arborvitaes.
The other thing I'd like to mention as we're discussing this is the placement of the trees. When I submitted the plan, placement of trees being along the right and left side of the property, I was told
that they needed, we knew they had to be deciduous at this point after the original request. We were also told that the trees needed to be planted throughout the cleared area. I'd like to make sure that, again, part of the proposal is that we are going along the left and right side of the conservation easement. And I'd like to make sure that it's addressed as part of the request. So that this does.
Well, I think, like I said, sir, if you want to plant arborvitae or pine trees or any sort of buffer tree along your property line, you're free to do so. The conservation easement zoning doesn't prohibit that.
Yes, that would be.
Yeah, there are two issues. So if you want to do that,
Yeah,
that's not a problem. What we're looking at here is replacement of the trees that were taken down within the conservation easement. Those need to be deciduous trees. Those need to be kind of randomly placed throughout the easement. They're not supposed to be for buffering purposes. They're supposed to create a natural area that is then protected.
I'm gonna jump into it. I don't think you keep saying proposal. First of all, it's the first time that you this. And we requested to be here. Usually it's at the staff level, but you brought the zoning. Really, it's in the proposal. No decision to act on the zoning. That's the first step. Doesn't really matter what you say, it's right now, it's what they want to do. And what they have to do. It's not a total negotiation. I mean, the staff level negotiate after some sort of direction. We don't have to start to say, hey, here's a proposal.
Craig, may I add that Brian is here because we had discussions about the trees that needed to be planted, those things, and he stated that he would like to do this plan. Brian is here because as staff, we said when we are not permitted to grant him any relief within that easement, he needed to come before the board, present this plan, and ask the board.
So your proposal is actually to disturb what you're at right now. The proposal is actually just for disturbance of conservation. Yeah, another issue.
Yeah, I don't think I think Mr. Ciccone, staff raised this as an issue. Mr. Ciccone is making a proposal to say, hey, this is how I'm proposing to address this problem.
Can we deal with this? I mean, we have so many other, he doesn't know this, we have so many other projects, the same issue. We deal with this every day, every week, which you need help from myself, that usually get resolved. This one's got to do with it.
I remember we were discussing the sale property, and that was one of my concerns. If so many people buy these properties, and I would like some sort of marker or definitive line that says conservation, do not disturb, because this, and again, this person does it, then sells the house, and the next person thinks, oh, that's my property, and they put their pool there, and then they get the zoning violation. So there's a reason that the ordinance calls for conservation easement, and it's not to be disturbed. So to me, your proposal is unacceptable. The ordinance took down 22 trees. We need to put up a proposal. We need to have the arborist report to determine what needs to be replaced. And we need to be replaced, and that area needs to be left alone. It's not additional law. We bought a property that was a wooded lot. Can't now turn it into golf course.
Not usable lawn areas.
There's reasons that they're left undisturbed, and that has to do with stormwater and wildlife management, and it's part of this larger scheme. The ordinance needs to be followed, and the streets need to be replaced. That's my guidance.
Staff is in a position to manage this. If the board is in a position to say, okay, we will grant you this exception to the rule. If the board is saying, no, we're not going to grant you this exception to the rule, that's what we need guidance from the board. If you say no, staff will handle working with Mr. Ciccone to reinstall what was required.
My vote's no.
Thank you. So we will be in contact to talk about how we go about remediating the area that you put. Thank you. Yep. Have a good day. Right?
Yeah,
That's-
obviously he's
that's-
landscaping his yard. He was
That's
in-
what he did. He asked for forgiveness rather than permission. He's not happy.
Okay.
I had my way, I charged him 33 cents.
Well,
I was trying to go,
information? Can I move on to the information reports?
I jumped in on that. I don't think, well, how we're going with that. If you're not gonna go to the first session with that issue, I think what direction do we would staff that if there's this or then by an issue, we get direction.
I think he's sweet.
I thought
Zoning
you were saying
violation.
You're
that
okay,
they
yeah,
staff handle it.
Okay.
That's what he said.
Okay,
So there's a violation notice that needs to go out. It needs to go
okay,
out.
so then that handles the.
It got to the point where he would not respond to staff level interactions. He kept pushing us to have this change approved, this plan. The only way for that to happen per the ordinance is the board to approve that. That's why he was in front of you.
How can the board approve something that was already set in stone with conservation easement? You have to go to the zoning board.
But no,
Yeah.
you guys, yeah,
The board-
this was in regards to the east of sold.
Yeah, I kind of.
Yeah, if we wanted to push the zoning issue, yeah, he would have to go to the zoning. board. We can handle the whole thing, staff, now that we have direction,
Yes.
we can handle the whole thing
Yeah.
from the staff. And I think also, as Matt said, it's now, I think you got, the board made it clear to him that he didn't like his behavior.
Yes.
Because I believe in talking to Kelsey and Matt, this guy is a bit of a thing. So it's good to have the back of his numbers. And
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious what he did. To come in here and act like it was for the same reasons. Bought a wooden lot. What do you want?
Yeah.
All right, we're on. Let's go.
Okay, administration. It's an exciting day for New Britain Township. I am pleased to introduce the board to the township's next finance director, John Bates. John Bates is with us here in the audience.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, John.
So it's a great time for John to join us, and first day is our first meeting, and we get the ability for everyone to see him. So please, if you can, after the meeting, introduce yourselves. We're really happy to have John. Welcome.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let everybody know that the 2022 budget development is well underway. Spent a good chunk of time last week meeting with staff to go over budgeting 101. Each meeting from this point onward, it will get more involved. You'll hear more from me about where the next budget is headed. So please just stay tuned on that. I expect there will be some more information coming along your way at the business meeting in 2 weeks. I held an IDA post-incident review meeting with staff last week just to talk about what we did, and lessons learned in my previous life. These sorts of post-incident reviews are quite helpful, especially when you are dealing with an incident that you weren't necessarily prepared for. We were prepared for 4 to 5 inches of rain. We were not prepared for 9.5, 10 inches of rain. Nobody, I don't know if anybody on the face of the earth is ready outside of the equatorial country. How can you plan for 9.5 inches of rain? And so it's an important touch point for us to just coordinate and meet to discuss things while things are fresh in our minds. Lessons learned, what did we do well, what can we do better next time? And the key takeaway of this meeting is that we need to meet regularly. So we're going to meet next month. We're going to have a workshop meeting amongst the 4 of us to talk about a map of New Britain Township and identify those flood-prone areas for roads, and identify better ways for us to deploy a flooding type setting. So the way we've designed it is that we are going to, every month, we'll evaluate whether we need to meet next month. If so, we'll continue. I think that's an exciting step for the township, especially with emergency preparedness, and just getting some things documented a little better. One of the other issues that came out of the meeting is that we need to explore better ways to communicate to our residents. And one thing that we are exploring is whether or not we have the ability to communicate via the county's Ready Notify system, how we can join up with that and get our residents. It's an opt-in. Residents have to sign up. It's not something that we push to everybody. So those that want the information, we can push that out. We're in the process of exploring what we need to do to get that up and running.
Is that notification by text?
I believe text, email, and phone call. We have the option of all three, which I made the mistake of doing in Montgomery County. I get the phone call followed by an email, followed by a text message. A little bit of overkill.
The text.
Yeah, right. So I'm hoping we can ramp that up within the next month. I think that would be a great communication tool available to our residents that the administration can communicate to the residents. Fall Fest is coming up September 18th. I'll be over here shuddering. Looking forward to seeing you all there. This is going to be my first Fall Fest. It's going to be out here North Branch Park. Mike, is there anything else that you'd like to add to it, or you just want to refresh those memories and just let it run? All right, very good. Mike is in the thick of preparing for the Fall Fest. It's going to be a fall, fun, fabulous festival. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Mike and I attended the county consortium meeting last week. Was interested in attending more so, even more this go round, because there was a presentation on ARPA funding, American Rescue Plan. My key takeaway is that still people don't really know what specifically we can spend it on. My takeaway was that the Fed is in the process of creating a new office, a federal office to deal with the ARPA. According to the presenter, they're hiring thousands of people. Just think about it. Think about every single municipality, every single state having to manage all these dollars. So stay tuned.
So you'll spend all the money on the new workers and there's nothing will get sold down.
Well, thankfully, we do have the money in our account. So the money has been deposited. There isn't a rush to spend the money immediately. We have until the end of 2024 to spend it. And actually, there was further guidance saying, from the Fed saying that if so long as we have a project that is under contract, we have until 2026 to actually spend the money. But we have to have all of the contracts approved prior to December 31st, 2024. I don't know exactly what that means yet, meaning the projects. I don't know the specifics yet. Nobody, to my knowledge, no other municipality has waded into those waters yet because it's still too murky. And the other key takeaway is that there is a federal reporting requirement that is to kick off. It's due October 31st of this year. This year should be pretty easy because we haven't spent any money. However, it will be an annual report every October 31st. Every municipality must submit it. So we received the money through DCED. However, since we have received the money, DCED is like, I'm done, we're out. So now we have to actually document everything directly with the Fed. And that means we have to go and set up an ID.me account. That's like to do. That will take quite a while. What do we say, 6 hours per applicant is what we have. The presenter was like, I set up an account for one of their clients. It took me 6 hours to get it. It includes in live via web conferencing, identification. You have to show your license and show your pays and that kind of stuff, a live interview. So it's involved. So we will be working on that. I'm hoping to get more guidance as to what we can invest those funds in later. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump down to Public Works.
Can I,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
could you go back to post IDA review
Yes.
and just list for us and for the residents what exactly damages we sustained in terms of roads and other things?
Sure.
We have to repair.
Yep, I was actually going to talk about that in
Okay.
Public Works.
All right.
And I had asked our Public Works Superintendent to speak to that today. He's out sick today, so I'm pinch hitting. I don't have the list of roads in front of me right now during the storm. I can provide those to you once the meeting is over. I was going to say there is only one township road that still remains closed, and that's Walters Road. That is the culvert. It has been washed out. I believe that's the third time in many years that it has washed out. My comment would be that I believe this would be a good opportunity for us to review the specifics of that culvert with the township engineer to hopefully engineer a solution that we're not in this position in the next 9.5-inch rain. Be determined. FEMA has been activated, and we were asked to submit to the county a list of damages and the costs, overtime, police, any storm-related response. We have submitted those costs to the county. I have not received word as to what, if any, FEMA monies will be available to municipalities. And I assume that we'll hear something rather shortly about that. So I'm hopeful that we will receive some sort of reimbursement for those funds or some money for the rebuild of the washout. Keep you apprised of that. That's how you know. I don't know the lists of the road because there were a bunch of state roads that were washed out and township roads, but everything is open except Walter Road from the township. From the township stand.
Good, thank you.
Continue with Public Works. We will have in front of the board the business meeting, the 2021-2022 salt bid recommendations. It's not for us to discuss. It's not detailed. It's a slam dunk. We'll have those details included in the board packet. The business meeting and Public Works. They spent most of the last week in the recent history just cleaning up from my all hands on deck. It was an amazing response. And to introduce the next departmental report from the police, I just wanted to say from the administration standpoint, hats off to the NBTPD for their work during IDA. There were some pictures of our officers going above and beyond and helping our residents and stranded motorists. So hats off to the police department. That's all that I have for admin and public works. At this time, there are no other questions. I'd be happy to hand the baton to the chief officer. Please.
Morning, board members. So, in front of you have the monthly report for the police department. Some highlights that are on there.
It'll be on the next one. They don't have that.
Yeah, that's for the business.
I'm me putting it together. I saw the departmental reports and requested them. Yes.
Okay, so you don't have any departmental reports?
We're all learning this new process.
One of the things we will be talking about today is the recruitment, selection, and hiring policy. So I'll distribute that for you.
No.
So one of the things that we want to do is add some standardization and transparency to our hiring process. Just to develop a hiring improvement policy. This policy I put together based on other township policy that I came across, along with some other policies that I'm familiar with. A lot of it is standard language that's in the recruitment hiring policy. Some things that I want to highlight are, the eligibility for examination, how we're going to go through the process of actually getting recruits to take the test and what their eligibility requirements will be. The other highlight, given the size of the township, typically we should have officers that are already acting on certified, otherwise they already have the academy. There is grant, money out there that pays for the academy and the salary, while a partial portion of the salary while the officers are in the academy. And that grant comes through NOPEC, and this officers education training. However, that delays getting an officer on the street. So right now, we're short an officer. If we were to hire an officer without that 120, we would not see that officer for 6 to 9 months. So that takes away the time, you know, that we actually need to get somebody on the street. So the recommendation is we stick with having Act 120 certified officers, and also having some type of previous law enforcement experience that we prefer, given that they are, you know, the township with design, typically have 2 or 3 officers working at a time. Those officers need to be already somewhat familiar with law enforcement duty and the ability to work on their own. It's not like you know, a larger urban environment where you have multiple police officers to care immediately to that. The selection process is outlined in there. You know, we would do an evaluation internally, use corporals to review the submitted applications that we received to determine, you know, at least up to 20 candidates. Right now, in policing, it's a challenge to get recruits. It's a challenge to get applicants. And so that's why, you know, language is up to 20 qualified candidates, because we may not get 25 or 20 applications. We then hold the moral examination. Myself and the corporals will be the panel members of that moral examination. That require 70% passing the questions that we asked, as well as overall. Then your report writing is a crucial element for law enforcement. So we want to do a written examination as well, as far as the writing exercise. Also creating an eligibility list is something that we want to make sure we're transparent about. So we would rank individuals based on their overall scores, written examination, the writing abilities would be a pass fail. We would then rank them and have the board approve that list. That would then give the police department the ability to assess the top 3 candidates and determine who we would recommend to the board for hiring. Last fall, the state assembly passed enacted legislation which changed veterans' preference. So now veterans' preference for non-civil service, Solicitor, I'll have to do this in more detail, but basically if there's a qualified candidate who is eligible for appointment, we would need to consider making the appointment. We have that covered in the policy. I believe those are all highlights I have on the policy. Questions?
I have a question, a statement. I'm happy to see this as a great step forward in having a policy manual up to date and current. Thank you for your work.
Yes, and updating and having updated policy manual, of course, I need some assistance with that. That'll be one of the things that we'll be discussing in the budget. Any other questions? The next item I had on the agenda is our police overtime. Currently, I believe we are over on our overtime expense. for the year. We're currently over 126% expenditure. What I've recently done, actually earlier in August, I implemented a overtime directive as far as how we are having the accountability to the officers based on what overtime. So rather than just putting on their payroll sheet each week, what hours of overtime they're working, what they're working for, and now have a overtime slip that they sign, that they fill out. It's reviewed by a supervisor and then comes to me for final review to verify that they actually work the overtime that they're saying. Also, we are, they go to court, the court system verifies that they were at court, they appeared at court. They're testified. How we're assigning details is also a process that has been outlined in the directive, so that all the officers understand that their eligibility for details and how it's related based on seniority or approach. The overtime as it stands right now, one of the driving forces earlier this year, we are down an officer, so that creates some manpower requirement. Also, we had officers out with COVID, which created some manpower requirement. So we spent over $42,000 in overtime just for manpower this year. And I have different. When we get into budget discussions, I'll be able to discuss in more detail the breakdown of where we're spending our overtime. But that was one of the biggest things that I've noticed in looking at the overtime this year, is that we did spend a lot on manpower. Given that our line item for salary, it should be the end of August, 67% used. However, we've only used 61% of that line. So that calculates into $80,000 right there of the salary line that we have. This we are sure about. The other item that I'd like to bring your attention to is reimbursable overtime. So reimbursable overtime includes those strategy details that we're doing. Earlier this year, MERT was activated for elections, which the township was reimbursed for. So reimbursable overtime so far this year, we've done over $32,000. So the number looks bad as far as where we're at today, overtime in our line item. However, that includes all of our overtime, whether it's reimbursable or not. So we are going to get some of that money back down. It's manageable.
So you'll have more overtime for like the Labor Day and the shrine, and then get reimbursed for that?
Yes, so that's another thing. So yeah, this month the shrine ended yesterday, and we'll get a big reimbursement check.
Any other municipalities have us all of that?
No, it's just us. We did run into a situation yesterday where one of the officers had a death in the family. And that occurred to me is maybe we need to talk to the Township, see if they can assist with that.
They're very questions. Now, overtime is, these officers are working 12 hours. They can't do overtime after their shift is on those.
So they can do 6 hours of overtime for manpower, which is typically what happens. We'll typically take, if they work a 12-hour shift and we want to have 2 officers working. So if an officer falls out or there's only one officer available for that shift, typically Yeah, one of the officers that's working for our shift will stay for 6 hours. And another officer will come in early 6 hours. Unless they're often, we have a system where everybody's kind of called and notified to kind of set that up. If you know it's gonna happen in advance, it's set up in advance, so some of the officers that are on will come in and work the shift or parts of the shift. However, yet there is certain situations where they work more than 12 hours. It's not only dangerous, it's not good for their health and lives. So that's, one of the things, as we get into the budget discussion. So we'll talk about the importance of having the manpower where we need to do. It's not on retirement.
And I'm surprised that you have trouble getting recruits, because it seems like, how often do they graduate and they can come to county?
It's so they run 2 sessions. They run a night session and I guess they're not running a night session. So I run one academy a year basically, so every 9 months, the academy is about 10.
Graduates, I'm surprised.
30 to 35 graduates, typically 20 to 30% of those are already hired at other departments. And Temple University, same thing. Every 9 months, so their classes are really smaller. Allentown ones, probably bigger academy. So it's finding, again,
Qualified people.
you find, you go to the academy, you may not still be the best student based on, going background investigation, and things that you may not want that person.
I just add also from the overtime aspect, I'm pretty confident that the ARPA funding, we will be able to recover costs, overtime costs, if we can relate that to COVID. And so that'll also help us push those costs down.
The only other thing that it's not on the agenda, but it's that, we talked about a little bit, and I know that Cynthia saw some of the pictures of the officers wading through waist deep water. So, fortunately, we were able to acquire some equipment from the fire department that day. Especially flotation devices. Officers were paired up with each other or fire personnel to wade into the waters to during the hurricane, we ended up towing 21 vehicles. One of the things that we discovered is we do need to have a discussion about I've been approached by different people who want to go to the township. I realize now it's an ordinance that covers towing contractors. So that's
Just, as Chief and I were talking about, it's just one of those good maintenance ordinances that we should be entertaining every year, just to put it on the board's agenda, to reevaluate every year, see who's appointed, just one of those good housekeeping.
Any more questions?
No, I think the guys are doing it. As part of the Iowa hurricane, would we get something from you guys as a whole, being a police department and the administration, just an overview of how many rescues we had, just in case, so that we can see, what actually happened?
Yeah.
What you guys were involved in.
And that was something that we discussed at the post-incident review, how we communicate, how we document. It exposed some lack of communication mechanisms that we have in place, communicating to the board, communicating, we have internal communications and then we have external communications. It's something that we've identified that needs work. And that's a good idea to have that formalized report. We can put together in Township, we can put something together for the moment.
Solicitor.
I have nothing to report other than we are working on board corporate, file history. We're trying, yeah, for a variance, so you can build a second lot, with a 5 lot inside. It's denied, we feel that we are opposed.
That's early.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw, I was screwing this up, I saw that the Dolly Lane property is up for sheriff's sale. Listed for sheriff's sale.
Okay.
I forget what day it was, but, and I haven't followed up to see if it stayed on the list or what's going on.
Usually you won't, unless someone shows up, after you're doing it all online, so unless you attend the sheriff's sale, you won't know if they come to it. Because let's stay the same as far as the actual publication of it in the law.
I'll figure out when it was, and actually, I think it may have taken place already.
Usually, it's a Friday, but it's not always the same Friday, right?
That may resolve a lot of ongoing problems there, and then any further expenses we incur can be charged against.
Was the township ever contacted about it being on the sheriff's sale?
No, that's what I don't remember that coming through.
Okay, 'cause, my understanding is, usually the township, the county would call the township and kind of say, hey, you guys have anything, any outstanding costs that need to be thrown onto this property? So that's how it works in the past. I just know that, just kind of hearing, like, you mentioned it at one point in time. But yeah, you might want to check to see if the sales occur, if not, maybe, see if they're willing to take it. Because usually they throw them on and they weren't really putting net to see if it's appropriate or not.
We don't have an automatic lien on the property, right? We have to
No.
post it, right?
Yeah. We haven't done that, but the board. The exercise,
Right.
money up to that, right? So, but if it is going to sheriff's sale, and if the sheriff will allow us to just put it on without it being.
Even if we don't get past costs, we can look at for costs that we're incurring. Assuming we're still mowing lawn over there.
I don't think any, I'll just put more discussion, about tie into the IDA theme, maybe we need to tolerate. Yes, so I want to add that, I mentioned Walter, and you did that with gaming baskets and all of that, was originally what started the whole look at how it worked. Worked into the north and stuff, so really that. That's something we need to look at, special planning, staff, staff. And then, so I read, was paying attention to trying to find new updated articles. Official data on the range. Just to caution everybody says that we got 9, 10 inches, we only got 3 in 1 hour. Just gotta be careful in the articles. Total rainfall, like the clear times and winter. The article that you're seeing, total rainfall for 48 hours. And it says upwards of
Then they go and say it was about 2 or 3 inches an hour, which is not 100%. Then saying that back in July, documented there were 10 inches an hour, or we had 10 inches in a 24-hour period, which was so people throw around a lot of flooding is the biggest thing, but just going forward, it's not going to go away. I think it's going to happen. All the other reasons. It's also something that I want to know that I just had this never came up before, and funny, Joe Nolan mentioned it at the pump station. You know, he designed it on elevation, and now they decided to go further, just like we had to design a culvert, and then it fails, and everyone's like, hey, the culvert failed. Well, that culvert design, you need to look for me for we replaced the time that was there. The amount of rain, the amount of water had been 51 numbers, that's I had word. That culvert designed for like 5 or 10 years. When the dam backs up, this is what I have to do that. So like, I think the dam is fucking Sellersville, and she looked at the drainage area, and if the water's backing up, you heard another engineer say, oh, we're going to move the pump station higher, and you park some of the water. That's affecting the water coming out of the town. And all of the 600 some acres on the road, it's over 1,300. You design for 100 storm. As you we're going to be putting the road like this. Yeah. And actually asked if we ever gave a ballpark, it was $1 million. And I wasn't here so here when you guys made that decision on money projects. We just had to replace it and find it. What happens once you touch that road, the culvert's still there and fine. It was the road that failed because of the pressure. It's not enough. The amount of water coming down, can't get released for the dam's backing up. So that study alone is going to cost a lot of money. And I didn't say, and I agree with. I mean, now looking back at what we decided when I wasn't sitting here, I wouldn't spend that money either. I looked at Walker's Dam up there. The amount of money you need to spend to fix that road, you might need to look at what we're going to color. I mean, you're going to spend $1 million to, you know, fix the back road where it could happen again and again unless you really force that road. Now that we touch that road, over there, all the time, it's the road that go out. So once you just move the road back along the plate, you know, we do that, set building the dam. And both events, the rain events from hurricane, the elements are, you know, call it. So that's something we look at with that. But storm events, there's always a big question. What's the cost analysis with I heard from Janine that the residents really want to do that. There's a lot of them. I'm going to tell you, you see the drainage area map that took 2 seconds. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said, wait, the dam is right. And I'm not sure. I know last time the road because back in the 90s, I was like, we're public work, but it's the same issue. It's still happening. I've been here since 97. And that's what I want to do now. Where we fix it right. We take one project every 5 years or 10, or move the money, federal money. There's the time to do it right. But from Walter's kind of straight, I can't go to the road. Right. So it was actually documented when over the top. The road that failed is always over the top. But to go from a 5 or 10 year over the top, you can't do it. I can't design that.
We just put ramps on either side.
Well, no, you just let it flood. I mean, look, all your back roads flood. You're not being affected by any rural county. And if you look at Ben Salem, they have 100 years back in July, whatever, July this year, they get 10 inches. We got a half inch. That's the caution for Washington. The longer soaking means that for the road is gone.
Well, I didn't go by what was in the newspaper or whatever.
Well, that's the National Weather Service.
I stuck a
That's
bucket,
actually-
I stuck a bucket outside half hour after it started raining, and between 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock, I got 9 inches in that bucket. So about 5 hours. So I know this area got 9 inches of rain.
No, that's what they're saying, over a certain period. That's where the local spot, I can't design.
Right.
Basically, you know, and I just want to show you how different that is. Once I did paper, it was initial.
inches of wind still, and 1.5 inches of wind. What's on airport still has part of it. So I think Color Road should be added.
It's not in danger of failing. Keller,
Not yet.
because Walter's,
No, it's not.
Walter's closed.
I don't know, I grabbed the shop from you last week. No, the bridge is fine, you gotta, line repair one. We're getting to the point where it's a metal bridge. I'm sure I'm making it, they make it nervous every time I talk about the meeting, but it's still, yeah, it's the bridge. It's okay, but it's the foundation of the, been in the flash flood. And doesn't matter what I say. We don't have any report to do this, so.
That's it?
That's it.
Always good news. Park and Rec,
Thank you. So I have, I've asked Michelle Clancy, our Parks and Rec Coordinator, if she'd be in attendance and just give us a brief update with all things Park and Recreation Committee. Michelle.
Okay, so, good morning, everybody. August 17th, the Park and Rec Advisory Board, along with, Matt West and Bill May, facility manager of Park and Rec, we all did a park tour of North Branch, just to get an update, see it with fresh eyes. And as far as the maintenance, there's so many priorities on the list that we have looked at. What we wanted to do is recommend, and it'll be passed through the Park and Rec Advisory Board, the North Branch Park Master Plan as a pilot program that will inform planning and prioritization along with budgeting for because at this point, we currently have a couple instances such as the playground that is in disrepair. Priorities that we have to try to get done. Along with the dugouts that we know about. So I thought that's something that we are going to put forth to the advisory board as a recommendation, and we'll work with effectively and efficiently with the board. Looking for an RFP by end of 2021. So we'll put some members of the advisory board and put on that RFP if the plan is.
Thank you. That's something that we are looking with Michelle and the Parks and Rec Committee about to bring before the board as part of the budget process. We're still in the process of hammering out those details. And part of my budget conversation with the board.
We also have one, actually, a proposal from the Glace, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this properly, the Glace Arnold family. They would like to donate and plant a pear tree at Old Branch Park. They previously had done that for their father, who had passed away as a member. Unfortunately, their brother also had passed, and they'd like to do the same thing. They said that, something that they like visiting the tree. It's gonna thing for their family, and they'd like to put another tree planted during the fall season. So that's
A Bradford pear tree.
I'm not sure of the details of the pear tree as well as the placement, so that's something I'd like to reach back out to them about.
I would just caution again, I think we have other native trees we could plant that are less problematic. Bradford pears tend to break and easily and.
Yeah. If I could just agree, I think this is kind of where I'd like the Parks and Rec board to shift their focuses. if this is something that, the tree planting is something that the board and the Parks and Rec board are interested in, let's develop a policy of what are the approved planting locations and what are the approved species. Then it becomes an administrative role and let the Parks and Rec board do the nuts and bolts of it, and then it comes to the board for final approval, just a rubber stamp. Knowing that Parks and Rec board have already developed an approved species list and planting location. I agree with your concern. I'd much rather plant the native species.
Bradford pears, just start on that. But most places have taken it out and put something else in. Yes. Just like the ladies.
They stink really bad in spring too. Yeah, they're just awful.
You do drop little,
Yes.
yeah, little fruits that are. Yeah.
Inside this.
Not a big deal.
And then I know we're doing the Fall Fest, so Fall Fest, we are from the Park and Rec Advisory Board, the standpoint of the peaceable kingdom petting school in attendance. Thank you for the sponsorship by for the club. And then we also have, once Fall Fest is done, the Santa House is something under discussion in preparation for that.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay, and we.
Anybody?
Any comments on what?
Oh, I meant to ask that. Do we have any announcements? No. I'll just say we're having fun in my neighborhood with the water pipes being replaced and making sure you either get out really early or stay home. And, so we have is adjournment.
Before the motion, just want to say, announce that we will be meeting in a brief executive session. At the conclusion, we will not be reconvening, taking any action.
So we have a motion to adjourn. Second.